Good morning, Green River College. This is when you should be doing your hooting and hollering from your place, because we would be here where I am today trying to do something that reminds us of things to come, trying to do things that remind us of our anchors. I'm here on the stage today. I couldn't contemplate doing this talk with you without being here in our home. As you know, it has become a tradition at Green River College for us to try and do a selfie. Now, I'm not sure how this is all going to work out today, but I'm asking all of you at this point in time who've got the biggest gallery views on your screens to take your camera, and I'm going to take it now and angle it to the screens here that I have off to the side. And I want to try and take a gallery view of a selfie for all of us, and you do them too, and we're going to figure out where you're going to send those pics, because we're going to put them all together, as many as we get, and we're going to make that be our selfie for this year. So, oh, good. So they've got this amazing crew here today that is way far away from me, in terms of my speaking for safety. Have put up the gallery view. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to stick my head in, and we're going to do our selfie. Nice. Take your shots. Excellent. Excellent. We're going to put these all together because, from what I understand, we have about 500 people on right now. I think people are going to come in gradually through the morning. And we'll have our record of the hundreds of staff, faculty, and administrators who have come together today to share in this moment. I'm going to put my phone down over here. And start the talk. You know, we are absolutely in unprecedented times. And we're going to talk about some of those in the next 45 minutes or so. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for joining together today. And we have a number of people I'd like to acknowledge that are in our audience that aren't always part of our Green River community in terms of our college, but they are part of our community. And I'd like to acknowledge a number of individuals who are joining us this morning. I'll start with our trustees here at the college. We have Trustee Jackie Boschek, Chair Arlene Perini, Trustee Elaine Chu, Trustee Linda Cowan. We have Foundation Board members with us this morning: Charlene Grinolds, Gail Spurrell, Matt Murray, and Bob Filson. We have members of our Auburn School District with us, Isaiah Johnson and Tom McDermott. And we have a variety of individuals who are within our community that are elected officials who work so closely with the college in establishing our community and college partnerships. We have Mayor Nancy Backus joining us this morning. We have Casey Bray from our Auburn Chamber. We have Chris Steams. And we also have Mona Das, Senator Mona Das. We will be having others who join us throughout the day, but I believe these are individuals that are currently with us today, joining in our community. Thank you all for being here. I also would like to have a call out. I'm just going to put a paper away. To Gisu Federal Credit Union for all of their assistance with us. They've been very generous in honoring and supporting our students to their success. I just want to give a shout out to Gisu for all of their financial support that helps fuel our student scholarships and our Gator Pledge. I also want to thank all of you today to come together in sharing our commitment to each other, our commitment to our college, and our commitment to our communities who need us now more than ever. This day wouldn't be possible without the work of dozens and dozens of people. There are a handful of people here in this room today. I know we've got a lot of people behind the scenes making this technology and our day possible. But I want to say a special shout out to the official opening day planning committee, which is comprised of staff from all over the college, faculty from across departments, and a variety of administrators. A special thanks to Amy, Ashley, Austin, Camilla, Carrie, Chris, Danny, Daniel, David, Deb, Elaine, Liz, Enrique, Genevieve, Georgina, Ian, Jude, Judy, Carrie, Catherine, Katrina, Keegan, Kelsey, Kristen, Cora, Laurie, Leanne, Lynn, Maddie, Mark, Marianne, Rolita, Sal, Shirley, Sydney, Sophia, Suhoon, Suzanne, assistant version, Tanya, Theon, Tyen, and Wendy. It takes a village to build an opening day. It takes a village to build a college community. It takes a village to help our communities. Thank you all. And I know that there are more than those who are listed on the page that have had a hand in this. I can't thank you enough, and our college thanks you for your dedication and your work on making this day so very special. Hello. I also want to have a special shout out to the keynote speakers that you're going to be meeting today at different times. Our morning keynote speaker, Dr. Jeremiah Sims, will be coming to us from the colleges of San Mateo. I think you're going to enjoy his presentation this morning that follows immediately after mine. And I also think you're going to enjoy Dr. Frank Harris III, who comes from us from San Diego State University, who will also be addressing the college in the context of our work this year and our work that has been present in our days leading up to this year. But both are going to be addressing equity in education. We're going to say a lot more about that in just a few moments. At this time, I would like us all to take a moment of silence. In remembrance of all those who have passed away because of COVID-19. A moment of silence to acknowledge all those lives that have been lost as a result of racial injustice and in pursuit of social justice. And for all that have recently perished in the fires. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. I'd like to ask us all now to take a deep breath and take another moment of silence to reflect on gratitude. Gratitude for the doctors and nurses and frontline staff in our medical community, helping those afflicted with COVID. A moment of gratitude for our firefighters and first responders who are fighting these fires in our region, who are keeping us safe. A moment of gratitude for each other as members of this college who see the clarity of our purpose even more today than we have before. And also an opportunity for you to reflect on what you have in your life at this moment in time to feel grateful for. Thank you. Deep breath. It is with deep gratitude that I speak with all of you this morning as your president. We are absolutely stronger together, Green River. And it is amazing what we can do when we work together as a whole. These are absolutely unprecedented times. There's nothing normal about what we've been experiencing. And the past 6 months have been challenging. And as I wrote to all of you this past Friday, as I looked at the smoke-filled skies, it was hard to comprehend that a natural disaster was added to our already existing challenges. I'd like to think that we're all okay, but actually I know we're not. We're not okay. But we are doing the best we can. Some days are better than others. Some moments in the day are better than other moments in the day. But we have each other. And as much as fear is a powerful feeling that can take us over and motivate us to withdraw, it is time for us to reconnect and have hope for each other and hope together with each other for our future and our college. Now is the time. We don't lack clarity in terms of why this college exists. We don't lack clarity in terms of the purpose of our days. Our college is needed, and we are going to find our way through these times to help support tens of thousands of lives in our community that depend on us. These are challenging times. Look at where we exist, Green River College. We each, as individuals, are contending with COVID-19 and the individual pressures and stressors that puts on you, your family, and loved ones. We each are watching the economic impacts of what COVID-19 has done to our nation and our state. Some of you have incurred economic hardship in the context of people within your families. Many worry about their futures. All of us are affected, and even more so in terms of our faculty and staff and students of color, with the racial injustice and the desire and need for social justice. These are affecting all of us who work here, and these are affecting all of us who study here at this college. And then overlaid with all of that are the larger national stressors that are present as we come closer to Election Day. And of course, we could add the fires. The smoke is very difficult for all of us in this area, I know. Let's think of our people in Oregon, California, and send them the most positive energy and thoughts and best wishes for safety. But what is Green River College, really? Green River College isn't a thing that exists without people. We are Green River College. We are the culture. This is the culture that students come in and out of, and this is the culture that we come in and out of together each day. And as we each navigate these life experiences, the one thing we have in common is our commitment to each other and our commitment to this institution. We will not be defined by these crises, but this is absolutely our defining moment. We can't solve the COVID-19 problem. We can't cure the pandemic. But what we can do is provide educational pathways in safe environments for ourselves and for the communities and the students who come to us to help plan for the future, because there is a future. We can't solve the economic crises that are surrounding us and that we may be facing in the near future. But again, we can work together to keep this college financially stable and sustainable, And we can continue offering education that will help tens of thousands of people's lives to better themselves economically as our lives move forward. We cannot erase 500 years of ideology that created racism, but we can build an equitable institution for all those who study here and all those who work here. And we cannot solve the national stressors that we all experience each day, right now. But we are part of the solution. We are part of the future. Our communities need Green River, and our nation needs more colleges like Green River. This is our defining moment. We are going to use these challenges, these temporary crises, as the fuel, as the catalyst for moving us forward. We are stronger together, and we will prevail. Our resiliency is amazing. So, as we ended our spring semester, questions were very pressing on many of our minds, even more so then because of the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and others. We were asking ourselves questions such as, what does it mean to have a truly equitable institution? What does it mean to have education equity? What does it mean to decolonize education? Not just the systems, the protocols, the policies, but the curriculum. What does it mean for each of us and our roles, in our roles, and as individuals responsible for the future of this institution? What does it mean for each of us to develop institutional equity? What does it mean to be an anti-racist college? Many of us have read Ibram Kendi's book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. What does that mean? Not just in our words, but in our actions. What does it mean to have an anti-racist growth mindset? We are all at different points in our understanding of the history of racism, the history and the ideologies that have fostered discriminatory attitudes and actions against one group to another. What does it mean to begin this work anew? Asking questions in new ways, examining the information that we have available to us in new ways. How do we do this? So what's your theory of change? Each one of you who is listening to me right now, and as I speak these words, each one of us has ideas about how we can get there. Your theory of how we become an equitable institution, how we achieve education equity, how we develop an anti-racist growth mindset, how we become an anti-racist college. All of you have your theory of change. How do we do it? How do we do it? The how is the glue that helps us actualize our why, our vision. We know why Green River exists. It says it in our mission. We speak it every day in the context of making sure we are an open access institution of higher learning. And we know what we do. We deliver programs. We offer degrees, transfer pathways, and certificates. But how we are doing what we do needs to be examined in haste to help us achieve our greatest why. And that very much is our work ahead this year. So we've talked about this the past couple of years in terms of ways in which the college has operated, the ways in which areas have interacted with each other over the years since I've joined you all. And I know those conversations happened even before me. And so what we have to contemplate now as a college is how do we make shifts? How do we start approaching things perhaps differently than we have before to render a different outcome? Now, I'm not sure whether Albert Einstein was correct in terms of doing the same thing over and over again being insane. I can certainly say it's frustrating, right? If we keep doing the same thing again and again and expect a different outcome, obviously we're not going to get a different outcome. Some have said, our colleges get the outcomes we're designed perfectly to get. So to get a different outcome means we have to shake things up a little bit. So I'm very excited to share with you this morning something that many have been working on since before even the spring term ended. And this is just one thing I think we need to contemplate this year in terms of how we interact with each other. I have requested that GDEC, a committee that has been identified as the Diversity Equity Committee at this institution for countless years, to take on some additional responsibilities this year. I have requested that they serve as advisory council to the President's office and to the executive team. I have requested that GDEC work collaboratively with the Strategic Planning Steering Committee and our Strategic Planning Equity Consultant to help facilitate the college's equity audit. This equity audit is essential for us to know where our baselines are. We have some understanding of that in the context of employment at Green River, in the context of student success at Green River, but there is a deep dive that needs to be established in terms of this equity audit. It will serve two purposes. The equity audit will be a foundational element that helps support the development of our strategic plan. It will also serve as information that can help create recommendations that this college can work on, independent of what might be in the strategic plan. I have also requested that GDEC work throughout the year directly with the executive team at this college to develop what we're calling an anti-racist growth mindset plan for all of us at this college. I'm also looking at avenues in conversations with others at the institution as to find a way to codify an updated GDEC charter. See, one of the issues that we have in the context of a committee charter here is still the lack of an integrated, holistic governance structure. But more about that in just a moment. But why GDEC? Because I'm sure that some of you are sitting out there right now saying, GDEC doesn't represent all the diverse viewpoints and opinions on this college. Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. There are many diverse views, opinions, and perspectives that exist at our college. But look at where GDEC sits right now at our institution. It is the entity that has been identified and developed with consent from this college as being the group that leads much of our diversity work at this institution. In addition, look what has occurred over the past few years and really accelerated as the end of the spring term came to a close. We have a number of work groups, subcommittees, and task forces that are emerging, that are connected to GDEC. This is an opportunity and an invitation for all who want to get involved, no matter who you are, no matter what your perspective. It's time to step up. Let your voice be heard. Lean in. We are moving. So I mentioned the governance structure. And I know for some of you, what I just expressed about GDEC is a surprise. You're wondering, what does that mean? In the simplest terms, it means that we're having direct communication and more inclusive conversations around the concept of equity and all of its implications at this institution. It is not an exclusion of other groups. It is not an effort to marginalize other voices, but it's a shift. What other kinds of shifts might we need? I'm speaking with Nancy and Tammy, our chair and vice chair of College Council, in terms of what kinds of shift and movement we might want to look at this year in terms of the College Council and the executive committee, and the executive team, pardon me. I will be reaching out to Leslie Kessler to talk about what needs to happen more directly in terms of the instructional council and communication, ongoingly, and dialogue with the executive team. And what's happening with our guided pathways structure, an amazingly developed structure that was created just a year ago in terms of committees and subcommittees. Where do they fit? We left our conversation in terms of integrated planning and governance with 4 potential circles. And we will revisit where we left our conversation off as soon as we get past our fall and a lot of things to get established. And we will resume those conversations. But start to think about this. What do we need to do intentionally to bring groups that exist together more tightly for the common goal of achieving our mission? You know, I was really struck over the past several weeks as I was putting together this material today and thinking about all of you and thinking about the college and thinking about the journey we've shared over the past 3 years. And I realized the fact that we can ask the questions that we're asking now. What does it mean to be an anti-racist college? What does it mean to decolonize education? What does it mean to be an equitable institution? Those questions are made possible by all the work we have done together over the past several years. It makes today and our keynote speakers and the conversations we're going to have possible, and it makes the year ahead possible. Look at what we've been doing. There has been continuity over the past several years. And there's one thing that I know is always beneficial to me in times of stress. I need clarity. I need to know concretely, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? What can I anchor myself on? So I offer this quick review of the past few years as a possible institutional anchor for all of you. And I know we have new people here today. Welcome all of our new staff and faculty that have joined Green River. Can't wait to see you in person. And of course now you can see that I'm really not 6'2", as I've been telling all of you when we've met on Zoom. I'm having a good day, so I think I'm about 5'3½". Attempt of humor. Anyway, let's just do a quick review of what we have been focused on. It's been very clear. And even with all the crises that we have today and that we've been dealing with for 6 months, it doesn't change what we're doing and why we're doing it. It might change how we're doing it, but it does not change our why, and it does not change our what. So back in 2017-18, we took a deep dive into our student data. For the first time, we came together many times as a college to look at our disaggregated data, to examine where we are in terms of the circumstances around retention and completion. We also spent a great deal of time focusing on our culture, ourselves. Why? The college had gone through a number of years of distraction, of stressors of a different sort then. It was time for settling. It was a time for healing. It was absolutely a time when we all just needed to regain some trust and connection with each other. And yeah, we did focus on a very specific issue, which was accreditation, because We had some distractions and we had a big lift, but oh, what an amazing turnout of that work we saw happen this past spring. I'll say a little bit more about that in just a moment. And of course, fiscal management was a priority as well. It has been, it will continue to be. But for me, the fiscal management element of when I first came into this institution was even more important because it was a part of the healing that had occurred in the years past. What happened in 18 and 19? Same focus, but we turned it a little bit more on our culture by looking at the climate survey data. That first year together in 17, 18, we made a point of having a very widespread responded to climate survey. It was done in the wintertime. We got the results that spring of 18, and we started to examine that. And that started to unveil a number of experiences many at this institution were having. Experiences of lack of transparency or lack of clarity about how decisions were made, poor communication, lack of trust, frustration in terms of good work not going anywhere, burnout. And that became clear through the results of over 500 people that work at this institution that responded. And what did we recognize then? In our examination of the culture, although we can always think about individual people treating other individual people in ways that create unrest and conflict and feelings that aren't resolved later on. There was a larger issue that was happening at our college. The college had existed for 55 years and it had created over 120 committees, task forces, work groups, but none of them connected. None of them logically organized in the context of processing work and communicating and having shared accountability and shared responsibility. So we started working on the structures and what those might look like at our institution. It certainly flattens the accountability and it flattens engagement in a good way. It calls for people to step in to the process, not out. And our work will continue this year on that. This past year that came to a close. Again, the focus, student success. You can see those 7 specific operational items that we focused on this past year. They fit, most of them, all under student success. The other focus, our culture. Again, all of these elements fit under that umbrella. So our focus has never wavered. Operationally, we might talk about it in different ways, but it has never wavered. Our guided pathways work, which is a key to equity in student learning, in terms of student retention, persistence to completion, will not change. What's amazing to me, and I want to have a special call out again to all that were directly involved with our accreditation. It was a heavy lift back in 17-18. There was a lot of work that had been done, but there was more work that needed to be done. And look at what this institution did. We got an amazing validating and positive accreditation review, indicating not only are we doing excellent work, but we are on the right track for the work that we still have yet to complete. We've been building ideas that can help frame the vision for our next strategic plan. When I was on this stage, almost to the very day, 3 years ago, I said to all of you, you know, I see our vision statement. It says to be one of the very best. But I look out into the audience, and now I know even more personally. I know the faculty we have at this institution. I know the staff we have at this institution. There is no reason that this college should not be the first choice in post-secondary education in our service area. There should be no reason that we are not the first person or the first entity that comes to mind in terms of partnership with business and industry. We are absolutely committed to equity in student outcomes. And understand what I'm talking about when I say equity in student outcomes. I am not discussing a lack of rigor. I am not discussing a diminishment of standards. What I'm talking about is how do we as an institution get equity in student learning. Some students at our college succeed better in their learning and their process and time to learn than others. What can we do to help those who are not learning at the same pace and rate? And of course we want to increase those numbers of students that do complete and leave with what they came to have accomplished when they came in our doors. And we have talked about what it means for every student, and we've expanded this to every person who works here, to feel that they belong. And what does that mean as a student? What does that mean to feel like they belong? They have to know they can successfully learn here. They have to know that they can succeed here. That is an aspect of belonging. And what does it mean for every student to know that they're in a culture of caring? We have worked tremendously over the past few years in being very intentional about a culture of caring. We will get to a point at this college when virtually every student that is stopped on that quad, when we're finally back face to face together, do you know at least one person at this college who would care if he did not come back tomorrow? And not only would they, without hesitation, say yes and name one person, they'll name many because they know we care. We have been talking about these quite intentionally for several years. Of course, you spoke about them before the past few years. But these have been very much a focus, and it has been quite intentional on my part as your president to keep saying these over and over for the day when we would build our next strategic plan. And that day is upon us. Our work together has made today possible. It makes the questions we're asking ourselves possible. It makes the considerations of the kinds of changes we have in mind possible. It makes our ability to build an effective strategic plan possible. It makes our ability to have hope and trust in each other possible. It makes our goals achievable. It makes our vision statement achievable. And the reason for that is relationships. Relationships. Change doesn't happen at a college in a meeting or because of a committee. Change happens because people change. And people's interactions with each other change. That's how a college changes. So through relationships and inclusive processes, we have been building the foundation that we will work from as we approach some of the most challenging questions and issues facing all of higher learning across our nation. What will be different about Green River? We're going to make progress. We're going to do more than talk about it. I wrote to you in the spring, sharing that I was struggling with words, just words. Words are not enough anymore. And so many have said the same at this college. No more words, just words. We are about to move. Our year ahead is very clear. It has been clear before I've even said these things to you. Equity. Equity in student learning. Equity in participation at this institution in creating a strategically designed and effective governance structure. Equity within our strategic plan. Equity is our top priority this year. Next, strategic planning. That will be the tool that our voices get woven into. Our goal, our two goals in terms of the outcome of strategic planning: equity and financial stability and sustainability, short and long term. Strategic planning will be our inclusive process at this institution to be the roadmap for our future. And then the third, financial stability and sustainability. We will work together, all of us, to not only keep our institution stable during this year, probably the next biennium, but we will work responsibly to create financial models that keep us sustainable in our future to come. 3 goals, everybody: equity, strategic planning, financial stability and sustainability. There is nothing at this institution that any of us do that does not fit under one or more of those categories. And we can talk about more details about this at the State of the College address and in other committee meetings from now until the rest of the academic year. There'll be time for details, but right now it seems clear. And I'm reflecting these back to you. This is not me sitting in isolation in the apartment in Auburn or the office here. This is what I hear from our college. Our college is saying, now. We must act now. And we will. So, for all of you out there, whether you define yourself as an optimist, a pessimist, a realist, a cynic, an ambivalent, scrutinizing person off to the side, whatever categories you'd like to say, I saw this meme recently, and I thought it epitomized what I have heard across this college, across the time I've shared with you, and even more loudly in the spring and throughout the summer. While everybody's arguing about the glass, we're going to drink it. It's time to act. It's time to act. No more talking. And what is our activism? What does it mean to be an activist at Green River College? We all have our personal lives. You can engage in all sorts of things in the context of your politics, beliefs, and values. But what does it mean when we're here together at Green River College? Education equity is our activism. That is why we're here. I shared this slide with you back in opening day 2017. I've shared with you many times. This is one of my most favorite quotes from Dr. Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, because education changes people. Learning, gaining knowledge, opening one's mind to other perspectives, it changes you. Education changes people, and people change the world. And that's what we're here to do. Moving forward, today, please let's join in community. Let's express gratitude for each other. Let's connect, reconnect, enjoy our time. We will move forward. We will take care of each other. We are going to get through these times. We are going to make tremendous strides in our work on equity this year. We will build a strategic plan, and we will sustain financial security for this institution. And we will do it all the while recognizing that we have something overarchingly important in all of our lives, and it's the work we do together here at this college. Look at us, Green River. Look what you've done. Look how this college has evolved across 55 years. Look what we've weathered the past 6 months. If there has ever been a time that I have felt this, it is now. This is our moment. This is the time when we're going to look back on these days and we're going to say, that time, those horrible, challenging times, that's when we did our best work together. And we'll have stories talking about fear and contention and debating, but we will have recognized the importance of coming together. And we will realize that we built a legacy at this college that will exist far longer than any of us will ever live. And we will have had the privilege of being part of this institution in making it a unique leader in this work. We will leave this college better than how it was when we arrived. And we will continue making a positive difference, and even more so moving forward, for tens of thousands of people's lives in our community. Green River, we are stronger together than apart. Build on each other's strengths. It's amazing what a group can do when there's a foundation of respect and trust, even in the midst of individual differences. Give patience and consideration. Everyone deserves that. Recognize the humanity and diversity in us all, and see what our collective efforts can do. We've got this. Let's go. Thank you for your time and attention. I can't wait to see the rest of the day. I can't wait to see how the MCs go. Danny, Ben, no pressure at all for your day ahead. I'm thinking I'm not going to win bingo, but that's okay. Everyone, big breath. We've got this. I miss you. I know you're missing each other. I can't wait to see you all on screen when I get back to my office in a few moments. I can't wait for us to all be back together. I can't wait to see what we do to support our students this year. We are Green River. We are proud. Thank you very much.